have an introduction video and let everybody find us, but I'm going to play the introduction video. How's that sound? We've got
Sounds
10.
Perfect.
We've got 10 with us, so people will find us.
10.
Yeah, this is Kelley. I'll do this really quick. This is Kelley. She is KMUD News and Humboldt Independent, host of Witnessing the Environmental Apocalypse, and it's very, very exciting. So let me play the video and that I made for her, and here we go. Twitter. Well, welcome, Kelly. Hello. I guess
Hey,
I'm
Paul.
so sorry for all the troubles and problems, Kelly Lincoln.
It's been fun.
Well,
It's been hysterical.
guys, what happened was I got this notification from YouTube like 2 minutes before we went live that they took a video called Overshoot down. And I don't know why. They said it was harmful content. And well,
I just sent you
yeah,
another picture. It says Scott
you
Dam. We want
did.
that. Yeah,
You
we want that.
did. Oh, she's sending me
Yeah,
emails while
you
we're
guys, I'm used to
talking.
doing radio, so I don't have all these extra. And you know, I have a engineer, and they answer the phone. I send them all this stuff, and they do all the magic, and I just write some notes. And I'm used
She's
to being the
spoiled.
interviewer, so I'm used to just asking questions and kind of.
You're spoiled. All right, I
I'm
got it.
spoiled.
I think I got it. It was called, what was it called? Scott Dam. We're
Yeah.
gonna talk about KMUD. I can pull up the website. Whatever you would like me to do,
Yeah,
Cal.
I'm sitting in the KMUD studio A. This isn't where I broadcast from. This is where I do all my pre-recorded work. This is why I do pre-recorded work. Oh yeah. So when people go to that website, if they ever want to, they can listen live. They can listen to anything in the archive. I can't see very well.
No, you can't, but
Um,
I can tell you guys that this will be
Across
in the
up
show
at the very
notes.
top, I think it says
Mm-hmm.
archive, right?
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
I'm trying to get you this new picture. Hang on one second.
I don't really know what to do with it. And here's the Twitter page. They've got a nice Twitter page, KMUD, while she's sending me
Now,
those things.
by the way, I want to be really clear.
Yes,
I'm a
ma'am.
mere stringer at KMUD News. The madame is Lauren Schmidt. She's what would happen if Laura Petty's Tank Girl came to life and became a news director. Uh, I think she's finally all of 30 years old. I'm not sure, but she's a young whippersnapper, and she does the most tremendous work. Uh,
That's great.
yeah, and what I do here is I'm what they call a stringer. I
Okay.
produce stories. Um, it's been a minute, like about a week since I produced one. Uh, I'm in the middle of doing one about our harbor commission. I, our whole community. I was going to put everybody on the map and show you all these maps, but our community is somersaulting, and
Oh.
right now, a lot of the weather, especially that California has been experiencing, is the result of something called a sudden stratospheric warming,
Yep.
and that's like somersaulting the atmosphere. And our economy has been somersaulted. We seem to be going to get lucky if this bank thing, the Silicon Valley Bank, doesn't doesn't hurt us too badly.
I like your use
Um,
of the word silicone instead of silicon. Silicone, California. Yeah. We have to have a little humor here. Okay.
that's right. That's what keeps us sane.
Yeah, same.
Um,
Yeah.
well, so so our economy. This is the station in the middle of the Emerald Triangle that marijuana built. It's a people-powered radio station. We have like 150 programmers. I'm a volunteer programmer when I do my witnessing the environmental apocalypse. That's something I do
Yeah.
because it's important to me with my community.
And that was the
And
show I
then,
was on, right?
yeah, that's the show you
Yes.
were on. Thank you so much. And at that point, I was still just coming to terms with the fact of what an environmental apocalypse is. I interviewed you. I interviewed Black Bear News. I interviewed what's the guy's name? His name's out of my head right now. He's the most doomsy of all the doomsies.
Sam?
I
Sam
haven't. No, no, no,
Claps
no, 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 no,
Chronicles?
no, 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 no,
No.
no, no, no. With the
Okay.
with the funny twitch in his lip.
Guy McPherson? Dr. Guy
That's the one.
McPherson.
That's one. Yeah,
Dr.
that guy.
Guy McPherson. Okay, with the
So
funny twitch on his lip.
Well, doesn't he? Um,
Oh,
good
you're
job
funny.
following my little
Right?
shenanigans there. So, yeah, and others I just am not remembering, and they're just as important. I just please forgive my 60-year-old brain.
It's
I forget
okay.
things.
We've all
Uh,
got
it's
60-year-old
all the.
brains.
It's like, oh, there's the. I just filed through my little Rolodex,
Yeah, we've all
but
got 60-year-old brains.
so at that time, yeah, I was still just like trying to figure it out. Since then, I've renamed my show "Witnessing the Environmental Apocalypse."
I like it.
Witnessing has a spiritual connotation, not just a doing. You know, it's a being as well as a doing word, and we we talk about we try. I try to put it's my little way of being one with the universe, like trying to understand and reflect back to the because it's my faith that um, we are interconnected with the Great Spirit. We are interconnected with the universal consciousness, and that's that's my understanding of why truth matters. Is not so much because we all see things differently. We all have our own perspectives about what this set of facts means. But when we each reflect and we sit with the meaning of our perception,
Right?
then the universe, that guiding unconscious thing, it knows what to do. We don't have to worry so much. We just sit with it, and it knows what to do. Every once in a while, you're going to see that strobe light. It's the silent ringer, and it's ringing in the studio that's broadcasting. Well, I'm not broadcasting, but you're going to see it strobe on my face. I keep seeing it on the. They're getting calls. That's what
Oh,
that is.
okay.
I'm just
All
letting
right.
people know that I'm not having a stroke or what's all that
No.
like.
No, actually, did you have to drive over there in bad weather?
Well, it was a little fun. It was like the old days. We are having some tremendous weather. We'll read off of a local website here in a second. She's been getting a lot of community photographs brought to her, and she's been posting them up.
Oh,
But
cool.
in some ways, this is a normal winter for us up here. What went on the last 3 weeks? That wasn't normal. Okay, we're Californians. Salt is for margaritas. Okay, we don't know what to do when the roads are
Salt is for
icy. When the
margaritas.
salt is for margaritas, and so that
Oh,
was hard for us. We had to have the National Guard come rescue the cows. Okay, we don't know. Oh yeah, so that is Scott Dam. Do you see that left turn in the middle of a dam? You ever seen that before?
did you want me to have this up? It just popped up
Not
because
right
I
this
just put it.
second, but you put it up, so I'll
Well,
talk about that.
it
Yeah, whenever it
finish
happens.
finish your thoughts. It was
Oh yeah, just
my bad.
that that we don't know about snow, and we get snow for a few days every year, most years. We haven't had it in a while because of the drought, but to have 6 inches of snow for a week, to have a foot of snow for a day or two, it's not outside of normal.
Insane.
But but yeah, and I realize the rest of the country, especially like from Denver north, they don't. They're like, what's the problem? Just it's winter. What are we doing here, folks? Come on. But at the same time, none of us have snow tires. I don't even know how
No,
to. I don't know how to put chains on. I don't.
I saw the videos. People were freaking out. I mean, people that live in Lake Tahoe, yeah. And I
Right.
mean,
And then if you live in the Sierras, you know about snow. Oh, my puppy. Town. But hang on a second. We're 45 minutes by freeway from maybe an hour, like in that amount, from the nearest Costco, Winco. Yeah, that's our red county. And then the one to the east of us is Trinity, and the one to the south of us is Mendocino.
right, that
And
gives everybody a better
that
view of
junction,
where you are.
that junction where we come together, those three counties come together, that's the Emerald Triangle.
right here.
Yeah, so
Oh, I don't know if they could see my pointer on screen, but okay,
I can't see it. Yeah.
the
Yeah,
Emerald
that's the Emerald
Triangle,
Triangle. That's
guys.
where I'm broadcasting from. That's all mountainous terrain. Later on we may get to some of those screenshots that I showed her, I sent to her, but we're super rural. We're super mountainous. I can't even begin to explain that you drive on mountains like it's like this, and if you go off
Yeah.
you're upside down and you're down, and
Woo, you're
when
on that
somebody
part.
here says that you're 20 feet off the road, you're scared. Like that's probably been a car flip or two.
Yeah, I would understand that. Hell
Yes.
yeah. Oh my
so
gosh.
so we're used to it and stuff, but when the snow comes and you can't see where the edge of the road is, and things get dicey.
I would
And then
imagine.
right now though, mud is letting go. All of these can you find one that says
Hmm.
California geology, something close to that?
Okay, this is the
Uh,
geology one. Can you see it?
Barely. But
All right, what would you like me to point out?
well, just you see where that red bubble is.
Yes.
If you
Yes.
kind of see that's sitting on the San Andreas Fault. That's going up towards Eureka. And
All right.
yeah, and the point is to talk about the geology there, that
Okay.
we're just like uplifted, and all the clay is old seabed. It's just been lifted up by these triple junctions that come together. And so sometimes you're on hard rock, and you can tell you're kind of on hard rock when you're in grasslands with oaks, like a more Southern California kind of vibe. And then other times you'll be in redwoods or Doug firs, conifer forest, and that's when you're on the clay. And who knows why it's where it is. But that
Wow.
clay likes to slide. They call it a Franciscan formation.
Really?
Yeah.
Franciscan
About 10
formation.
years ago, our 101 is our main vein. And that's the 101 goes
Yeah,
through our
that's
county, north to south. We
yep. All
don't
right.
have
I've been
much.
through.
So, yeah, we're just sitting up here. And, I was noticing that our county is 3 times the size of Rhode Island. That's
Really?
how, yeah.
Holy crap,
And
you
Rhode
need your
Island,
own senator.
yeah, I agree. 2 of them, please.
Yeah, you do.
Please.
Oh
Yeah,
my
our
gosh.
senators, our congressman, I meant to say, serves from the Oregon border all the way down to the Bay Area. He doesn't serve all the way to the east, just the counties that touch the coast and Trinity County.
Mm.
I don't know how Trinity County feels about that. They only have Trinity County's as big as we are, and they only have 25,000 people.
Wow. That's yeah.
So
I'm in a pretty small
we,
county. I think my town has maybe I don't know, 1100 people.
oh
It's
wow,
yeah, it's small, pretty rural,
yeah.
but
So
I don't have
we,
the money.
like you're saying about the senator thing, these usins that are in rural areas get a lot less representation. We got one congressman for that giant district, and then
Who is it?
Nancy Pelosi. I shouldn't
Oh,
pick that name
really?
because she's kind of politically charged, but anyone from a big area, they'll be able to walk their whole district, whereas our guys, it's 8 hours to get from one end to the other.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot of walking. Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
so. I'm trying to
So we'll
move
talk
this.
about the snow again, like just because I have these texts up. She was talking about having come to. That's what I ran off about is we're down here
Hmm.
about where that yellow one is.
There's another map.
Oh, look at that.
Well,
That's a
this was showing.
atmospheric window.
Yeah, that was showing the other day that you had sent me. We weren't going to use
Right.
it,
Yeah.
but here it is.
That's yeah. That was a, what do you call it? A warning map, a hazard map from the National Weather Service. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, it's going to hit us. I thought it was going to slam us directly, but it didn't. It
Oh,
went
I
south of
was
us.
so glad that didn't happen. Oh my God. Yeah, there was two of them. Two of them that had that gate that were for your
Yeah, no, see, that's kind of what happened. And see how red it is on the coast? That's more what happened. And it hit Mendocino and Lake County, which are south of us. Um, yeah.
Wow. High risk.
So
Pink, pink, pink. High risk pink. Holy shit.
high risk pink. Where's that
Yeah.
other map we were looking at?
Hydrology.
So that yellow dot is Shelter Cove, and it looks like it's really close to Garberville, but it isn't. It's about 50 minutes, 50. And then if you go 50 minutes east of Garberville, that's Island Mountain.
Okay.
That's where the snow is really heavy, is out there.
Heavy, and we saw those
Heavy.
pictures. It's beautiful, though.
It's
Beautiful
really beautiful.
pictures, but gosh,
It's super beautiful.
just scary as hell. Scary as hell. Yep.
Well, it's yeah. I sent you that picture of the lady's house, and the mud came in her house, came all over the side.
Awful.
It doesn't look like it knocked it off, but I haven't talked to her yet, so I don't know how impactful it is. And then
I have her picture somewhere too. Mud on her house. Mud on her house. I have it, and it's pretty impactful, is right.
yeah,
Because I mean, think
no,
about
she doesn't keep her house like that. That's from the mud.
unreal. Can you
Mm-hmm.
imagine? I can't imagine. And I mean, I had flooding in my basement last year, but I mean, I cannot imagine this amount of
Yeah, mud's a
insanity.
whole nother. And she's in her 70s, living out there. I
Wow.
don't know if her son still lives with her. She
Mm-mm.
did have an adult son living out there, but I don't know if she still does.
Oh no.
And she's slight, she's not robust. She's a little slight girl.
Hmm.
So I'm quite concerned for her. And then my other friend, who owns a store, lost between $75,000 and $100,000 worth of merchandise and
Oh my
infrastructure.
gosh. I mean,
They
this is
don't.
all we're going to hear about once this whole thing cleans up. And then it's going to be like, okay, how are we going to pay for it? California, I mean, really a big beating. And I mean, of course,
Statewide, you were showing pictures all the way from almost San Diego,
mm,
right?
yeah,
San Bernardino, as I recall.
unreal.
Yeah, and our highways. Our highway was damaged. So for us, we've had a winter. It hasn't been
I do have
one
that
big
picture.
thing like the '64 flood.
Right.
It has been. I don't want to say paper cuts because those are kind of small compared,
Oops.
but medium thing after medium thing after medium thing. Where December 20th we had that earthquake. We had three in 2 weeks. It knocked basically one of our towns. Yeah, and it started that. That's
Look at
our
that.
101. Just
That's
at the
101.
Mendocino.
That's
That's
huge.
101.
I know. Oh
And
my
it's
God.
right just north of the Mendocino Humboldt County line. I mean, you could walk. Literally, you could walk if it wasn't for the fact you're going to fall down. And you see how he's in that hole, and you can see how much that roadway is slipping away. And it just goes. You can see by the trees on the other side what the cantilever of the mountain is, and they just carve it in and hope for the best.
And it's everywhere. You know, I mean, it's everywhere. Everywhere. God sakes, people were freaking out because it was snowing in Disneyland. Oh my God.
Well, right. And it's a big deal down there. I mean,
Of course
do
it
those
is.
people even have shoes? And I'm not trying to be facetious. I don't have shoes. So
I
have sandals. I have sneakers, but I don't have real
shoes.
I don't have winter shoes. I don't know what to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're right.
So
You're right.
Yeah, I mean, when you live somewhere where it snows every year, you go into your closet and you break out the winter clothes, and you know what to do. We're just shy of being Hawaiians. I mean, we're just
kind of true.
Florida.
And but it's a lot different than now the fire scare. Think about that. The fire scare was insane. You know, too. So
that's summertime. What are we talking about that right now?
But it's crazy that there's so much that goes on. It's wow.
But And I almost would say we don't have tornadoes, but the Central Valley started getting those this last week. So
Yeah, I've
we
got a
had
picture
two,
of that actually. Or a hat.
and
Oh, I think I put it in.
we had a water spout off the coast of Shelter Cove.
But
Um,
anyway, we have a
Screw
video,
those silicone people.
right? And then we're going to talk about I'm going to edit this and, but we'll talk about this because we're going to segue over to Willow. And everybody knows what Willow is.
Biden administration gave approval for the project. The oil company is going to paint this as a win. Okay, we're going to go through the realities of what happened because both sides in this will paint it in their own way, and neither are going to be entirely accurate with it. Oil companies are going to say it's a win. Okay, and it is. They got about 3/4 of what they wanted. It is definitely a win for the oil company. The environmental side is going to paint it as like a total loss because environmental groups, when something like this happens, they tend to be pessimistic, mainly because they understand the situation we're in happened. The political and economic realities. If Biden wants to run again, and this is a clear indication that at this point he definitely intends on running for re-election. He has to keep the economy humming and gas prices down. To say that this really doesn't count because it's been in the works for, 5 years or something like that. Can they make that argument? Yes. Is it going to be accepted by environmental groups? No. Would it be accepted by, me? No. But it's an argument that they can make. I don't necessarily see it that way, but it is an argument that they can make. From the political standpoint, this was a compromise move from the Biden administration that was good for them politically. From the environmental standpoint, and this is where we're getting really heavy into my personal opinion, none of this should have gone forward. None of it should have gone forward. To me, this was the opportunity for the Biden administration to make the hard choice and lead. And say, we have to break away from fossil fuels. We have to break away from dirty energy. And this is a moment to do it. Big rousing speech and all of that stuff, and try to get people behind the idea of transitioning. That is not what occurred. I don't think this was a great idea. I understand the economics of it. I understand the political realities of it. I get that. I think there could have been, there should have been other options on the table, and I think that the compromise, if a compromise approach was going to move forward, I think it could have tilted a little bit more towards the environmental side, even if it was going to move forward. I know that the development basically was like, if we fall below this point, it won't be economically viable. I find that hard to believe. And it is worth noting that the Biden administration approved what appears to be the bare minimum for the company to say that it was economically viable. I don't know that I agree with the company's assessment on what is economically viable. I think they could have gone with less. But that is not what happened. So, of the initial plan, if you have been following this, about 3/4 got approved, 1/4 of it got denied. Consolation prizes, some of it are legit wins for the environmental side. Some of it is temporary unless it gets enacted through Congress. So, win for the oil company, at the same time not a total loss for the environmental side. At the same time, me personally, I think this was an opportunity to lead rather than compromise. Biden administration
It got the flush of the day. Willow gets the flush of the day. Yeah.
It's
And
real.
now we are going to see how pissed off people are on Twitter about this. The Willow Project, they are mad. All over the place, mad. So let's talk about it. While I'm looking for it, comments?
Well, one of the things I think is that this is Biden being the old Biden. He's brought, in my opinion, to the White House, he has brought really good administrative skills. He's been in Washington a long time. He's been able to, plus he spent that time in the White House. So he was able to bring a skill set. But Biden voted for what do you call it, mandatory minimum sentencing on drug offenses in his earlier years.
Mhm.
This is him
He is a
doing
Republican.
that middle of the road, nothing but dead armadillos and yellow stripes down your back. Oh, I mean, yeah, Jim Hightower, right?
Uh-huh.
So one of the things that I just admonish my Democratic Party to be aware of is that we don't need to fall in line behind Joe Biden. Joe Biden will be a much better candidate to progressive minded people if we have a strong primary. It doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't weaken him nearly as much as this backtracking into these middle of the road, because then he loses you and me and all, and the environmental.
Yeah, look at this. Even Jamal Bowman. I mean, these people are, everybody is pissed.
Thank you so much,
I'm
Mr.
going to see.
Speaker. We must all do everything in our power to organize and communicate with Mr. Biden to stop.
Is your volume low? My volume's low on this guy.
We are living in a climate catastrophe. We have one human race, we have one planet, and we have people organizing across the country to make sure the Willow Project doesn't happen and to make sure we invest in the clean, green, renewable energy that is going to save the human race and save the planet. Mr. President, it was young people that organized across this country to help you get into office. Their number one issue is climate change. Mr. President, it was young people who organized across this country to help us push back against a so-called red wave and maintain balance in the House. And it is going to be young people who organize to help us win back the House in 2024 and help America to reach its ideals. Stop the Willow Project. Thank you, and I yield back.
Oh, that was pretty good. We're talking, everyone is upset.
I haven't also it's a good thing to be aware of. What are the local natives saying? What are their concerns? Because they're going to have a split, right? They're going to be, some of them are going to worry about the jobs and the economy, and some of them, or maybe the same person has two concerns, but they are suffering from permafrost melt. They are suffering, and their whole lives are changing. Now, that may be all the more reason that they need an outside economy. However, let's say that the 100% of the Native Americans on the North Shore of Alaska want one thing or don't want another. Local control is a big deal, but it is also a national issue, and with global warming, it's an international issue. And then a third thing is Wounded Knee and the Hopi Navajo. All of that, we learn that white people will split the natives amongst themselves in order to divide their power. Wow. They have a tremendous amount of power. I think it's from prayer.
And should.
Right?
But
they own 25%. Okay, so tribal lands,
Mm-hmm.
which is a little bit different form of ownership from the way you own your house, but they own 25% or control. I think that's the right word to use. They control 25% of the natural resources. And so there is
Hi,
a
everyone.
lot of pressure on tribes to make a decision in favor of mineral extraction, whether that's fossil fuel mineral or lithium or uranium or whatever the deal is.
It's all a cluster.
There is, it is, there's some movement to rally them to be able to make their own decisions. Whether they choose to develop those resources or they choose to leave them in the ground, there's a huge portion of that should be their decision. But it's complicated. It's complicated.
Very complicated.
We don't want people splitting them between themselves, putting traditionalists against, less traditional or more economically minded members of tribes, members of communities. But at the same time, it's also, when it comes to fossil fuels at this time, it's a national and international decision. Oh, so complex.
It's very complex.
That
I wonder
definitely
if they
doesn't
would.
mean don't ask.
Well, we also have a war that we're supposedly not in, and our military and all that. The fossil fuels are part of that. Hey, let's listen to Deb Haaland. Want to hear? Let's see what she has to say on this one. I'm interested.
And I'm Deb Haaland. President Biden and I believe
Guys
that
can
the
hear
climate crisis is the most urgent issue of our lifetime. That's why we're working to deliver on a clean energy future that our grandchildren deserve. We're making historic investments to restore lands and waters across the country, deploying wind, solar, and transmission projects at unprecedented rates, working to phase out single-use plastics in our national parks and public lands, and through it all, ensuring that equity is our North Star. Today, the Biden administration is making several announcements. First, the president is taking action to limit new oil and gas leasing in important places in the Western Arctic and the Arctic Ocean. Second, the Interior Department will propose a rule that will recommend additional protections for more than 13 million acres in the area. These steps will protect wildlife, including caribou and polar bears, and guard the subsistence rights that are so important to Alaska Native communities. Third is the Willa Project, which is a difficult and complex issue that was inherited. These are existing leases issued by previous administrations as far back as the 90s. As a result, we had limited decision space, but we focused on how to reduce the project's footprint and minimize its impacts to people and to wildlife. What was approved reflects a substantially smaller project than ConocoPhillips originally proposed, a 40% reduction. They are also relinquishing nearly 70,000 acres of their leases, land that will no longer be developed. President Biden has done more than any other in history to invest in our nation's lands, waters, and clean energy. The clean energy transition will not happen overnight, but it will happen with all of us working together. I am confident that we are on the right path, even if it's not always a straight line.
So we won't, if everything goes smoothly, we won't see power on shore for 5 to 7 years. So those companies, Crowley and a couple others, I should know, I apologize, but I don't, I can't remember. They won an auction. They were the winners of the auction of the leases for this space out in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll put their little windmills out there and build their cables and bring them into town. And, they'll do their machinations. Town, in the meantime, is all of our government, our county government, the Eureka City government, because they're right on the bay. They don't control the bay, but, they're right there. The Harbor District, all of these people putting in a lot of effort, changing the whole dynamic. Because remember, I was talking earlier about our whole economy is flipping. So marijuana legalization, like, just bottomed out. Businesses, we've been written up in the New York Times, the LA Times, the San Francisco Chronicle, the little town that can't no more kind of thing.
Oh my God.
But in the meantime, we got this offshore wind project, and we have some data lines coming in, and we have HSU becoming a Cal Poly Institute. But this wind project, when we talk about the people in the north part of Alaska, will have probably been working with Conoco, people's making plans about how their employment's going to go in the future. This is not an easy shift to make. I'm worried about the climate, and I think that shifting away from fossil fuels is the right decision. But it is true that we would need to talk to the people up there. It is true that they have to have reparations made. If environmentalists say we want to leave that oil in the ground, I'm with them. But I'm also seeing we would need to work with the local communities up there to figure out.
And then there's the other question, Kelley, about, okay, so, leave them in the ground, and is the grid going to be upgraded? Are we going to get enough minerals? We're in a WASF kind of situation with all of this energy, the energy issues, really.
Well, in his little talk, Bo says that in order for Biden to get elected, he has to keep the economy humming and the gas prices low. What's up with that? Why are Americans that shallow?
That's the $1 million question.
And am I wrong to think that we are? If that's how, am I missing something? But that's how those remarks struck me.
Well,
and
because people are afraid of change.
I bring it up right now because you're saying, we have to think about how we're going to get enough solar panels. We're going to think about how to get enough battery storage. We're going to have to think about how to change what our energy strategy is. And it is true. But why isn't that fun for us? Why isn't that something that is a challenge for us to engage in and to gain economic superiority over the whole world with, even if it takes us a minute and we have fewer watts available per hour in our homes?
Well, we have to definitely live different lives. That's for sure. Look at this. Joe Biden approved the Willow Project. This will wreck the indigenous village of Nuksut and emit nearly 300 million tons of CO2 in the atmosphere for the next 3 decades. Reprehensible. And but my issue is they're saying, okay, Kelley, 3 decades of worth of fossil fuels. Who's going to be here
it's
in
time
3
for the graph. I'm telling you, it's time for the graph about glaciations and
graph. Yeah.
It's time for the graph.
God. It's like crazy to me. It makes me sick about thinking about this.
That graph is on the inside of my eyelids these days. So the 2 lines that kind of, go to the side of the thing, those are the CO2 levels during the last 2 glaciations, deglaciations, the last 2 ice melts.
Yep.
That red line is a third higher. It's going straight up, and it's our current CO2 level.
Ooh, boy.
Now, I've been studying lately.
You have, huh?
In the past, CO2 has not driven warming. Warming has driven CO2.
Okay.
The warming has been driven by our orbit around the sun. currently it's a pretty round circle around the sun, but sometimes it gets real ovular. And when it gets ovular, we spend more time further from the sun on both ends of the spectrum, so to speak. That was bad. I apologize. But currently, we've been burning dead bodies. We'll talk about the karma later, right? And so we're having this right up spike. I know I have a weird sense of humor.
No,
so,
that's what we are. We're burning dead bodies.
We're burning dead bodies.
So
what do we know about the benefits and costs of that, karmically speaking?
Ish.
Now, some people use funeral pyres, but that's a spiritual thing, and it's different than, this is a little more like grave robbing. But nonetheless, I don't fully understand the science yet of, okay, we went straight up. In geologic time, we went straight up. It's taken 200 years, but relative to the geologic time. And so you look at how long those deglaciations took place over, 10,000 years, 20,000 years. And it's very strange because the planet's orbit impacted the temperature. As the temperature warmed, then here came the CO2. In this instance, we're in a fairly warm cycle, and we've added all this CO2. It is a fact that the ice record will only show us so much about what's coming.
We know what's coming.
It is like the general. That's the kind of the lay of the land of the Emerald Triangle. You could see the Main Stem River on the
going back
on
to
my right,
okay,
and then the South Fork River on the left. And most of the population is in the South Fork. You can't drive up the Main Stem. There's a railroad, but they're going to put a trail. Well, once all the legal problems are satisfied, they're going to put a trail up the Main Stem, and there's an old railroad bed that hasn't been used for 35 years, I think.
Oh, is Norfolk Southern going to go through there?
Forget who it was, Pacific somebody, but it's going to be a walking trail.
Okay.
I'm different than everybody else. It's not what I'm going to say now is not a community wish. It's just me. I wish that we were putting an electric train through there, because that would be then a way to not use your car to go to San Francisco. Is that trail's going to go?
And trains actually, trains are a lot cleaner method of going. And yes, there's an outlay of building them, but trains are much more efficient, I believe. Not bomb trains. I will qualify that.
Yeah. Electric trains for moving people.
Hauling your ass trains.
So, that I didn't put any effort into wishing for that. It's just a personal wish of mine that we were using that rail bed to move people and to decrease our reliance on vehicles to go places.
Which is a good thing.
If I could ride my electric bike down that trail, fine. You know what I mean? Like I can figure out how to make that work. I wouldn't do it this time of year, but definitely in most times I would.
Well, you're a community activist too, and you're interested in these things. And that I give, I have a lot of respect for you for that. I do. Total.
My activism is just in terms of opening my mouth and asking questions.
Yeah, but that's good. But you're also a writer. You're on the paper. You do a show. I mean, you do a lot. So it behooves you to have a face in the community, which it does. And here's your community, as rural as it is.
As rural as it is.
Yeah.
And, and so there you could see, you know what that is? Oh, yeah. I was going to vent my vexations. We're home of a lot of things. We're home to the Lost Coast. We're home to the Lost Coast of California. We're home to the Triple Junction where the three plates come together. We're home to the Redwoods. We're home of the Emerald Triangle. We're home to Murder Mountain. Now, that place was kind of showcased to put an environmental
That's
stop
Murder Mountain
to,
right there.
yeah, see, that is a close-up of Murder Mountain. Doesn't that look bad? Oh, it's all scalped out. It is pretty bad. You
Okay,
can see
and
where,
why is it called Murder Mountain?
well, there's a
Humboldt-
whole docu-series on
Humboldt
that.
County.
You can watch.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
watch that if you want.
I can guess.
That neighborhood is a very specific neighborhood. It was originally populated by very traumatized Vietnam veterans.
Oh,
They kind of sequestered back in there and made their own
Right.
community. There's second and third and fourth generation trauma in that neighborhood. It's its own. I mean, somebody who had the right chutzpah could do a PhD thesis on trauma from the people that have lived there in the last 40, 50 years.
is it from
But-
a business trauma?
Right. But then there's another one that says 7,000 on it.
Okay.
And I want you to put that one up.
All righty.
Now that's more of a shot out, and you can see that it's a very isolated thing. Now put that other one up that reminded me of it. It's like two back, and it probably says Green Diamond 7,000 or Green Diamond something.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we're just going to compare. That's logging. Do you see the size of those cuts? Those are logging.
Oh.
And so when people see it, I want them to understand.
All right, which one I had to put back up the
Yeah, that's the logging one.
to compare. Now, of course, I got the cross section one.
No, it'd probably
No.
say Rancho 7,000.
Oh, that's it. Okay, so we're going to look at both of them, and let's see. Let's take a gander. All right, look at that.
No. This bottom one needs to change. That's not
Oh,
the
that's
Green
not
Diamond
it?
one, is it? I don't think it is.
Okay. You want-
My computer's
well,
further away than my
Rancho
eyes.
7,000 and Green Diamond.
7,000, yeah.
Yeah, and Green Diamond is here.
So that 7,000 is just like a scale at the bottom. So these
Yep.
are the same scale, is what I'm.
All right,
these
I
are
got it at the same
Google Earth
scale.
shots. Those are the
Mhm.
same scale, and you could see that each one of these logging patches is half the size of one neighborhood. Where this one neighborhood where they've like. And I'm not saying that marijuana only went on in that one neighborhood. That's
Right.
not accurate. But
Right.
that one neighborhood was socially problematic.
Okay.
They got the nickname and they gave it to themselves.
Oh my
uh,
God.
But that crime also happened between parties that knew one another. And I'm not saying there weren't true victims. There were. But it was not like as I walked down the street, I had anything to fear.
Right.
You see what I mean? It didn't spill out. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to get randomly shot on the streets of town. That wasn't happening. But
Yeah, scary.
that right there, this down here, these people, Green Diamond, they were Simpson before they were Green Diamond. They were Jippo before Jippo was Jippo. They are guilty of their own environmental crimes over the history of time.
Damn.
So was marijuana. But because marijuana had illegal around it for so long, instead of saying, oh, we should have never been treating you as criminals, we were wrong to have done so, the laws have been written as though they had to be written to contain criminals and children that can't follow the rules. It was like the vice principal at your high school suddenly became in charge of your economy.
To the weather, because I'm just saying the people have stressors already and have had stressors and have had to deal with stressors. And now we've had this on top of other issues. So how is the community handling
Well,
that?
like I said, the snow was really problematic on the east side. Anybody above about 1,500 feet was having a hard time with the snow.
Okay.
But so that's, it's, I don't know how many people,
All right.
my friend, I read your text, she has insurance. Will it cover it all? I don't know. My friend whose house got smashed by the mud, I'm concerned she doesn't have any insurance.
That is terrifying for people.
Right? And so, right.
There's more.
That right there is a bridge. And I put that picture in as a comparison because there's another one that was taken yesterday where the river is full. Just full.
Look at that.
So that's the summer day. That's how I know the river. And then there's going to be one that says Honeydew Bridge today or something, yesterday maybe. That is a cool shot. I don't know if it shows over the camera. That right there is a rock that broke apart and the river is floating it away from each other. When I first started documenting that 15 years ago, those three pieces of rock touched each other.
Jeez.
And the river, it's in a bend in the river. When it comes up high like now, it moves it. And you can see one is flipped over on its face now and in the water.
So there's one.
And then that rock,
look at
that doesn't mean anything to most people, but that rock's supposed to be, not that one, the other one. It's supposed to be 40 feet tall. It's supposed to be tall like those other ones.
All that water is not usually there.
All that water is not usually there.
No, never. Oh, my
so
God.
we had way more snow and we had a significant rain. So when you're standing out in the rain, it doesn't seem like it's all that much rain, but it's melting just this unusually large amount of snow.
Yeah, there's the water. Okay, so we got those.
But we're not even as much water is there, we're not at flood stage. I went and took a picture. We're not even. Why
don't we go over this one then? Yes.
Okay. So Potter Valley Project.
Okay.
And it moves Eel River water through a mountain. That's Lake Pillsbury's dam. The Scott Dam holds back Lake Pillsbury. Downstream from this dam, 5 river mile, I don't remember, a bit, not long. There's another little tiny dam, the Van Arsdale, and it impounds water enough that they can pump it through a rock in the mountain and it goes over to the Russian River. It becomes, quote, the headwaters of the East Branch of the Russian River. And that's what feeds Santa Rosa. They have some other water sources, but it feeds Potter Valley. It feeds Redwood Valley.
Populated.
It feeds Ukiah. It started out as an electricity project, but it made a whole 9 megawatts. And so,
a whole 9.
A whole 9. It's why Ukiah was able to get started because they didn't have any power before that. It's why Potter Valley can have an agricultural economy because their geology is really weird and they don't get any groundwater. I don't want to try and explain that. It's too, my brain gets a little bit.
That's all right.
This dam, do you see the left turn in that dam?
Yep.
That 90-degree bend on what to me is the right side?
Yes.
So that rock on the right side, they started anchoring into it and it moved.
Wow. No kidding.
That is a geologically unstable dam.
Wow.
And right now it's full.
So it could go just like that breach that happened the other day in that one town of...
We're not wishing anything like that because of the damage that it would cause. But yes, it is definitely something that I won't even think the word EQ very loudly right now. Like it is.
Well, I'm telling you, I think those bankers in California better pony up some money for the insurance companies for all this damage. Holy crap. Oh my God.
So
I don't know.
And they're looking, that's a PG&E thing. And I don't know if you guys understand how badly PG&E has abandoned my community. From Fortuna South, no one can get an electric hookup. There's not transmission capacity. They turn down. I started to say that as a statement of fact, and I shouldn't. They may have turned down the amount of power in the lines, or they may have given too much power to one or two customers. I'm unclear as to what has happened, but something happened.
You'll have to interview somebody on your show.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
have you ever spoken to PG&E or listened to them
No, I don't
speak?
know anything about PG&E. I know nothing.
I was in the
Nothing.
room. It's been about 4 years ago. It's definitely before the pandemic. It's
Yeah.
about 2 years before, but it's about 4 or 5 years ago. I was reporting. I used to cover the. That's just the cyclone. Is that right side up?
It's
Looks like
pretty.
it's back.
No,
Yeah,
it's
it's
right
just this.
side up. I just put it up while you're talking. Go ahead. Keep going. What did you used to
Uh,
cover?
the Potter Valley project, and
Okay.
so there was this commission called the Eel Russian River Commission, and it's peopled by boards of supervisor members from our county, Mendocino, Sonoma, and Lake County. They're all involved in that Potter Valley project.
Mm-hmm.
Lake Mendocino, or excuse me, Lake Pillsbury is in Lake County. The project mainly benefits Sonoma County. It is
Wine
partially
County.
located in Mendocino County, and then
For
we
the
lose our
wine.
water.
For the wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Mine.
So PG&E Vice President of Generation, forget his name right now, comes to little old Humboldt County where they're having their commission meeting, and he says, well, yeah, I got something to tell you. Okay, what is it, sir? Well, and all of a sudden the peanut butter glued his tongue to the roof of his mouth, and he said a bunch of corporate speak to the point where I was like sitting there taking notes, and I was down below him, and I just looked up at him, and I'm sitting this close to him, and I can't hear a word he's saying, and the words I do hear are sort of all gummed together. I listened to my tape 2 or 3 times, and what he said was, well, we own that license, but we might not seek the relicensing, or we might seek the relicensing, or we might sell the relicensing, or we might give it to you. We're not really sure what we're going to do.
Wow.
But he wouldn't even say that out loud. He just kind of hinted and shifted, and PG&E is that way no matter what they're talking about. And so when you say, oh, just interview them, they won't just have a conversation and say, here's what we're working towards, here's what our needs are, here's what our interests are.
They're awful.
They're a criminal company, in my estimation.
Yeah, that's what we learned.
They're a criminal
That's
company.
what we learned. Yep.
Did I give you a picture called the French Laundry?
The French
of
Laundry.
A really pretty building with roses on the outside? I might not have.
I don't think so.
Our governor won't let our legislator pull PG&E apart. Because it'd be too, it's that thing that Biden wants gas prices to be nice. Yeah. Otherwise, he's got a hard time with the American people. Well, poor Mr.
Hard time with the American people now.
Newsom has the same trouble. He can't. Yeah, that's our webpage.
Yeah,
we also have a. If you scroll down, there's also. Oh, see under where it's.
What?
Go up a little bit.
Right here.
See in the left-hand side, it says so many things, and then underneath there, that is on our news tab, and our news stories appear there every day. And you could join us on SoundCloud, or you could come to our website and just right in there. Yep. It's kind of hard to see, but they're in there. You can get all the news.
Look at that.
Thousands of them.
Yeah, this is great.
Follow KMUD News on SoundCloud if you're a SoundCloud person.
Wonderful.
And I think she might post them on Facebook.
Okay.
So who knows? But I know they're there. Our guy, Huffman, we have pretty good representation here. Our federal guy is Huffman. He started that phrase, as far as I know, he started that phrase, leave it in the ground. He's backed by pretty good people down in Marin County. That's his home base.
Which is where I grew up, in San Rafael. As a young kid.
You know that zone.
So did Jennifer too. Yeah. Both of us.
So just to say that ultimately is where we need to be. And that, I guess the other thing I would say in life is the less we can take the bait and be made angry by the news we read or the news we hear, the further we'll go.
The
Because
manufactured
at some
outrage.
point, at some point we should talk about the White House, Senator Whitehouse, and that man's name who's escaping me right now.
Leonard Leo.
That guy.
I'll teach you everything. The Federalist Society, who are the real dark money, who is the real deep state. It's the Federalist
And they just
Society.
got a new $1 billion. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
they're thinking that they brought the Supreme Court and they're seeing that that was successful legally. So now they're going to manipulate the law to really screw up our country forever. And I think
they're trying to undo democracy.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. That's a whole other show. So it was wonderful. I love
now
you
you know
guys.
who your real friends are.
Yeah. Oh, I had one more thing I never showed. Damn.
We'll do it again in the
minutes to an hour. Yeah, that's fine. And do you have any way to provide any drinks or like juice or coffee in bulk?
And I
We're
guess
ending
not
up
too
with
many
the levy.
people actually had their houses lost, and so at least there's that. But I mean, they're damaged. You know that it's bad.
Wow. Wow. Look at that. It is bad. All right, guys, I'll put the music on, and we are saying good night.